Hey guys, this is Josh Holland here from New York City. We are about to embark on a 10-minute plank. Now you might be thinking, 10 minutes in a static position, that's boring. But we're not gonna make it boring because I'm not a boring person. So we're gonna get a little bit more dynamic with this plank. We're gonna have some leg extensions. Ultimately, you're gonna be above the ground for 10 minutes, okay? So just to make sure that we're nice and loose, I wanna do some shoulder rolls. So you can join along with me. Really all you need is a yoga mat for your planks. If you think about the fact that you're gonna be there for a while, you might wanna have a bit more cushioning than usual, but do what you can. Do these shoulder rolls with me, very good. Shake out those arms. Maybe open up the hips a little bit, sit into that. Doesn't really require much of a long warm up to do this because we're just gonna be isometrically holding. Just a fancy word for holding or contraction, a long contraction, okay? So, prepare yourself, get your mat ready, get your towel ready, sip some water. We're gonna be here for 10 minutes, super simple, right? This is gonna really ensure that you have a nice, strong core. So, there's only gonna be 2 of these exercises that's gonna be required to do a minute and a half. Everything else is gonna be about a minute or 30 seconds, all right? I'll talk you through it. Just listen up and watch, and here we go. We're gonna start with a full plank for a minute and a half, and I will tell you the rest as we go. All right, starting in a full plank, make sure your hands are nice and spread and underneath your shoulders, brace position, and follow along. 3, 2, 1. Full plank for a minute and a half. Now, as we're in this position, I will remind you the different positions to stay in, the things to focus on. Right now, I am focusing on trying to keep my pelvis tucked and trying to keep my abs super tight. And we've got time, so breathe. Think about putting pressure in one foot versus the other foot, maybe one hand versus the other hand. You can even shift your hips up a bit if you need to get more of a contraction in the core. You can also bend the knees a little bit just to give yourself a bit of a break. But we're gonna be here for about a minute and a half. So if you are starting to feel your arms shake, tell your brain to shut up, okay? Just keep it going, all right? Stay in this nice strong plank. You can also play around with putting your feet together and squeezing your heels. This is a really good way to get a bit more of a contraction throughout the hips. So I like to squeeze my glutes, keep my pelvis locked into a certain position. We're 1 minute in, we got 30 seconds to go. After this, we're gonna go right into a forearm plank for 1 minute. So for some of you, a forearm plank might be hard enough just to do for 1 minute, but try doing it after this full plank for a minute and a half. Breathe. Luckily, you don't have to talk like I do right now because this makes it a bit more challenging. But if you want to talk at home to your partner in the screen, feel free to do so. Good. So we're about finished. We got 5 seconds. We're dropping down to a forearm plank. Good. And we're down to a forearm plank. So from here, same concept. I want you to really think about keeping those hips at a certain locked position, not too high and not too low. We don't want to compress the low spine. You want to stay very level, keeping the glutes tight and the abs tight. Good. So we're about 30 seconds in almost. We're gonna be here for 1 minute. Now the next one after this is a side plank for 1 minute. So since we're on our forearms, we're gonna do a forearm side plank, or some people call it a modified plank. I want you to start thinking about the direction you're gonna move for this plank. Breathe. If you feel yourself shaking, think of it as a reward. We're here, we're working. It's only 10 minutes if you think about it. 10 minutes of a workout, of an exercise. Breathe. From here, I'm gonna move right over into my left side plank. So with the side plank, you can put your hand on your hip. You can raise your arm up to the side. If you really need to, you can place the hand down on the ground, but try your best not to do that. And just breathe. And if you're facing away from the camera, then just listen up to me because I'm gonna give you cues along the way. Keeping those hips high, focusing on a nice strong shoulder. Make sure that elbow is right underneath your shoulder. Brace position, breathe. And soon we're gonna move into the other side plank. Yeah, I feel that shake too. Good, breathe it out. Stay with it. Good, nice and strong. This helps keep the waistline nice and trim. Of course, with a good diet. Good. Breathe it out. Let's get ready to switch to the other side plank. Very good. And if you can see, the sweat is already starting to roll. So we're gonna be here for a minute. And then we're gonna move to one of the toughest ones to get into without touching the ground, which will be the reverse plank. And that's coming next. So prepare yourself. We're gonna go in about 30 seconds. We're gonna get up into a reverse plank, however you need to do so. So as your shoulders start to get a little bit exhausted, the focus is getting up into a reverse plank or tabletop without dropping down to the floor. So we got 20 seconds, and I'm gonna show you how I go into my transition for a reverse plank. You can follow along with me. To whatever you do, try not to touch the ground with any part of your body other than your feet and your hands. All right, so we got about 5 seconds, and I'm gonna go into a reverse plank by going up into my hands first. Good, here we go, reverse plank. Go into the tabletop, bend those legs, hands and fingers out to the side. We're gonna be here for 1 minute, and then we're gonna do probably the trickier one, which would be a leg extension. So we're gonna force one of our legs or glutes to do the support, which becomes very difficult, hence why we're only doing it for 30 seconds. So now in this position, I should be here for about a minute. I'm trying to think about driving my hips way up, opening up the shoulders, fingers out to the side, and my feet are pushed into the mat. I'm focusing on pushing through my heels so I can get a little bit more glute activation. Now, as we get closer to that minute, I'm starting to put my feet closer together so that when I go to a single leg lift or leg extension, I am nice and supported, okay? So get ready, and here we go into a single leg extension. We'll be here for 30 seconds. Once again, think about lifting those hips up, driving through. Right now, I have my left foot on the ground, so I'm really driving through my left heel. Still breathing. Try to be as flat as possible. You may have to relax your neck by looking back, coming up a bit. Breathe, not much longer. And then we go into the other leg extension in 3, 2, 1, and other leg extension. Very good. Now, after we do this leg extension, it's the same concept, 30 seconds here. We're gonna go into what I call a quadrupedal plank, which I believe is one of the toughest ones to do. Some people call it the beast plank. It's imagining yourself being a four-legged animal, and you're gonna be in that position. So we're almost finished with this one. We got 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and let's go into what I call a quadrupedal plank. So from here, the only difference between this and a full plank is that my knees or my legs are bent. So it's the same concept as before. Want to make sure that your hands are nice and spread underneath your shoulders. You're going to be in the quadrupedal plank for 1 minute. So now we're approaching 7 minutes total already. You're doing very good if you're staying along with me at home. Breathe and relax. After this, we've got a full plank for 1 minute, which starts to get really tough. This is when your brain starts to say, oh, you may as well give up now. You know, this is already a long plank. Why stop now? Stay with me, okay? I'm in the trenches with you here. So lock out those arms. Think about your hip position. Make sure your knees aren't too far away from your hands. Make sure they're not too close. Try to keep your back nice and flat. And now we're gonna move those legs back, extend them into a full plank starting now for 1 minute. All right, so we're at the tail end of all this, okay? If you need to protect your wrist a little bit, you can close your fist for your full plank. Once again, you can go legs together to give you a bit more trunk stability or core stability in your midsection. Breathe. And if you can see me now, I got sweat dripping all over this mat, and I haven't really done anything except hold a plank. It's difficult. We got 30 seconds. I'm gonna go back to my hands, 30 seconds, and then we're gonna finish with the killer, which is gonna be a forearm plank for 1.5 minutes. I'm here to support you, motivate you. I'm also doing it myself. The fact that you're watching me motivates me as well.
So stay with it. Those arms are shaking. You got less than 10 seconds to go. Breathe. Relax. We got 5 seconds, and we're gonna walk our way down. If you see my arm shaking, we're gonna walk down to a forearm plank. Here we go. This is the last bit. All right, so once again, if you need to put your hips up a little bit higher, that's okay. Try not to drop them down. Stay with me. Breathe and relax. You should feel that burn. If you're slipping on the mat, find a towel. You can hear it's getting harder for me to talk because this is difficult. We got less than 1 minute to go. Stay strong. In this position, even if you take your hips up, it's very difficult. Notice I'm moving my feet out and in just to give me a bit more support from different angles. We got less than 30 seconds to go. Stay with it. Shake is happening everywhere. Legs are burning. Abs are burning. We got 15 seconds to go, guys. Stay with it. You're gonna be so happy when you finish this. Feel that burn. 5 seconds to go. 4, 3, 2, 1, and drop it down. Oh my goodness. Yes. So, if you notice, this is usually what you get from doing a lot of burpees, doing a run. This is a full-on sweat. It's real deal, baby, okay? So, if you did this at home with me, I don't care if you did 5 minutes, I don't care if you did 30 seconds. The fact that you tried to do this with me is what really counts, okay? So, job well done. Shake out those arms, shake out those legs a little bit. Give yourself a nice little stretch to stretch the abdominals, stretch the shoulders. Put your hands together, give yourself a hand. Well done. Good job.